Hey everyone, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode. I appreciate you guys watching. Guess you can already tell by the title of the video, I picked up something special for the TJ. This is something I've been wanting to do for the TJ for quite some time now. My TJ has 33-inch tires on it. Nothing crazy, but they are really heavy. My spare tire on the back is mounted to the tailgate, and it's causing some issues with the body here. I'll show you some stress fractures that it's causing in the tub. And it's just been real concerning. Every time I drive down the street and hear a bump, I'm thinking it's causing more damage than good. So this is definitely an exciting video for me. So I'm going to get going, unboxing. Hope you guys enjoy the video. I end up going with the EAG bumper. I know I'm probably going to get some flack around the Jeeping community. I've had a lot of people give me a lot of different advice going with a bumper. You know, American made, Chinese made, cheap, it's gonna rust, you need something, you know, really good. It came down for me is more about my budget with this. I really didn't want to invest $1,000 into a tire carrier system. There was a bumper by LOD that I really wanted. It was close to $800 for just the bumper alone. And that's not even including the cooler rack that I eventually want to get for camping and stuff like that, and jerry can mounts and everything. So I ended up going with the EAG bumper tire carrier. It has options to have the cooler rack. It has options for jerry cans and options for holding a high lift jack. It was kind of checking off all the boxes I needed for a tire carrier at an affordable cost. This one came in around $340 around there. I know people have issues with the powder coating flaking off and causing rust and stuff like that. My TJ doesn't see a lot of trails or dirt roads or gravel roads. I will be keeping an eye on the bumper. If it gets any chips and stuff like that, I'm going to be touching it up. I've seen people post that they've had this bumper for a number of years and never had any issues at all. So for the price point, I really couldn't pass it up. I'm hoping it holds up for me, but I'm really excited about getting this video going for you guys. I'm probably going to unbox it today and start the installation process on another day, but this will all be one video for you. So you'll see the whole install on one video, so I don't make you tune in for part 2 or nothing like that. Taking off everything off the back of the Jeep and the tailgate is pretty easy. Pretty much just bolts and screws. They're all very easy to access. But probably the hardest part was this light I had to cut off. And eventually I'm going to cap it off so that rust or corrode the wires. Cleaned up a little bit of dirt and put the screws back on so that no water will get in the screw holes. This tailgate has been giving me issues. It's really stiff. I'm sure the pins are starting to rust out inside. I have a plan for a future video about how to fix this, so stay tuned for that. This is the hitch receiver for my towing that I'm taking off now. There's 4 total bolts, 2 on each side and 2 underneath. So 4 total. This side came off really easy, no issue at all. And if I only knew what was in store for me on this side, I probably would have never started this project. I'm going to try this lug nut removal tool that I bought a while back. It kind of fits, so we'll see what happens. Kind of like my last chance effort here. I'm not sure what else to do. Can't get a good seat on it. It's definitely rounded now. Woo! Man, that was a little tough to get off, especially the angle of the bolt. I had a hard time cutting it. It really wasn't hard cutting it, it's just I couldn't get a good angle on it. It took me forever. I did a lot of that stuff off camera. Here's that little booger. Woo! Yes. I mean, those bolts were getting tough. It's hard to show you. So right here, this top bolt gets interfered with this body mount. You can't get a socket or any impact in nothing, the seat properly because of this thing here. And I tried to do an adjustable wrench, doesn't fit because of this stud that was sticking through here. So I ended up taking that lug nut, lug nut removal tool that I used on the XJ a while back, and I tried to use it on the frame mount on underneath. It just kept slipping, but it worked like a charm on these top two. I used them on both sides, and I've been going at this for about an hour or so, or longer. I don't even know. So it's off now. I'm gonna stop here for now. The video will continue, but I'm gonna take a break today. Stop while I'm ahead. All right, here we go for day 2. I started off measuring the bolt holes and trying to get them to line up properly on the frame on the Jeep. I was just trying to get some good measurements from the top, from the sides, and then I marked some holes, and then I pre-drilled the holes with a small metal bit, and then I used a step bit. You can pick them up pretty much anywhere. Harbor Freight has them cheap. I think that's where I got mine. Then I just used the step bit to the right size, and then I spray painted with some chassis paint anywhere there was bare metal. Organized my bolts and nuts, washers. This part right here would have been really more simple with a second person. It's very doable by yourself. It's just kind of awkward, pretty heavy, wants to fall out of your lap, or however you pick it up. Then right here I'm just fixing on a couple bolts on each side to kind of just hold it up at this point. And then I noticed that it wouldn't fit properly, the bumper wouldn't fit all the way because of the license plate bracket. So I knew that was probably going to be an issue. I don't know if I'm going to modify the bracket I have or order a new license plate mount kit. Not sure exactly. So here I'm just kind of putting on the 2 end bolts on each side, making sure it doesn't fall off. And then I'm going to start working on the middle bolts here in a second. There's 2 bolts that I can't, or 2 bolt holes I can't access. You saw me drill them out earlier. I just cannot get my hand, or I don't think I can fit a wrench back there to feed them in. And I definitely can come back here and use a wrench from this side, but coming from the back side, there's no room. We'll see. I think I might be able to get it with this wrench here and tape in the bolt to it. I'm just gonna have to tighten down the 2 on the side so it'll line up better first. So we'll start with that. Let me try packing tape. So I've been working with it off camera for quite a bit of time. I realized that I forgot I had a magnet tool that I've been using to fish out the rust out of the internal frame, and it actually got one bolt on. The bottom one, I actually got the top one on. The bottom one's going to be a little bit trickier. It's going to be a little bit tighter, but I think I could do it. And on the other side over there, there's a way bigger gap. So this side is going to be the hard side. So I'm going to work on this for a little bit longer, and then I'll move on. That side's going to probably be easier to show you on camera. I'm going to try to knock this one out. It's going to be pretty frustrating, so stay tuned. So I rigged up a clothes hanger to a like Christmas string tied to the bolt. I'm about to try to fish it through. Getting creative here. It is right there. Kidding me. It's like right there. I think I can knock it through. Incredibly frustrating. There we go. Thank you. Woo! Man. This is the hole I was working through. I can barely fit my fingers through here. And I could touch the bolt, but I couldn't feed it through. I tried everything. We'll move on to the other side now. It should be way easier. Look at this gap here. I can fit my whole hand here. Welcome back to day 2 of the install of this bumper from EAG. It's going pretty well. Last time I left off, I was working on the bolts on the inside. There's 8 total bolts on the bumper, 2 on the outside, and then 2 on the inside, which are hard to get to. It probably would have been easier if I dropped the tank. See if I can show you. So right here are the 2 bolts. This one looks a little crooked here. What happened is I had to drill these 2 bolt holes on each side. So these 2 and these 2 had to be drilled. Those 2 on the other side worked out fine. They were lined up perfectly. These 2 here the holes were slightly off, and I had to use smaller bolts. What I'm going to do later is go and swap these 2 out for grade 8 bolts, smaller diameter and a little bit shorter, and bigger washers. And I think they're going to line up just fine. So I'm not really worried about these. I wasn't initially going to put these 2 bolts on the inside, but I wanted to make it as strong as possible since I will probably be towing a small trailer with this bumper. It's weird that they didn't include some type of bracket for the lower screw hole into the frame. You know, you think it would have made something to go into there, but they didn't. Just 8 total bolts across the back. But it all worked out. It took me a long time to get those done. There's a small holes that you can kind of fish your hand through. This side over here is way tighter. I mean, you can barely get your hand in there to to get these get a wrench or something back there, and it's kind of awkward too because it has to be long enough but not too long because of the gas tank. So that will be frustrating for some people if you don't drop your gas tank. And last night I went ahead and I put on the shackles. This is very simple. It just comes into these things screw off, and these two rubber grommet washer type things go on, and the bolt goes through the shackle, rubber gasket, bracket, rubber gasket, and a shackle, and it screws onto the side here. So that's not hard to figure out. It just I didn't know exactly where to put these, but I'm figuring that they're supposed to go here because it keeps it from rattling onto the metal, and it kind of keeps it a little more stiff. It doesn't really free swing. You gotta have to kind of pull it, and it's nice that they come with this rubber protective thing here because it does make contact up here, and it makes contact right here as well, so it won't be banging around. So that's kind of nice. And then last night I was a little bored watching a show, and I thought I'd go ahead and I went ahead and assembled the main tire holder that's going to swing on this pivot point right here. I didn't film it at all because it's very straightforward. The handle is a slightly loose for some reason. It kind of moves a little bit. The bracket does. These are tight as they can get, but still that kind of moves a little bit. That's kind of frustrating, especially since it's been nicked a little bit. But overall, it works fine. I don't know if I like the silver bolts. I'm probably going to go ahead and spray all those with like a Rust-Oleum truck bed liner spray. Let me go ahead and I'll flip it over for you guys so you can see the backside. So this is the backside here. This whole thing was pretty simple to put together, very straightforward. You won't have an issue doing that. I think the hardest part was make sure you kind of keep these two bolts up here kind of loose so you have a little bit more play down here. There's a screw hole here. It's like an Allen wrench screw hole here. You kind of have to fish the bolt through and into a hole here. And sometimes like it's pretty heavy bracket. The whole thing's kind of heavy, so you might have a hard time getting the bracket to perfectly line up with it being tight up there. So if you have more play here, it's a little bit easier. Just keep that in mind. So the next step here, I'm gonna grease this up real quick. Put some grease on the outside all the way around, and then I'm gonna go ahead and slide on the mount for the tire and see go from there. There is a cap that will go on with a Zerk fitting to keep it greased up, and I picked up a little grease gun from the store today. It's a little cheap one, and that's pretty much it. I'll set you up here so you can watch. What's nice about this handle is I know it's a little loose here for some reason, which I might add some kind of like rubber spacers eventually. Not spacers, but like some type of like buffer to kind of put some tension on it a little bit. But there's two, I don't know if you can tell here, there's two rubber like washer type things here that add resistance and pressure, so you actually have to kind of push it and open it, and it keeps it from rattling pretty good. So it takes a good bit of like force to put that on there. So that's actually not, I was kind of worried about it rattling because it was kind of a cheaper end. bumper, but I'm actually really pleasantly surprised. So I'm not sure at what depth I'm going to need for this. Everything's falling apart here. I'm not sure what depth I need of my tire, so I'm going to go get it and kind of put it on and see what happens here. So this right here, it's with the tire all the way pushed forward and at the second lowest setting. I kind of like it there. It gives me more field of vision, and when I get a cooler rack, it won't be sticking up higher than the garage door up there. So I don't have a lot of clearance with the garage door. I have like 4 inches or so. So with a cooler rack here, it would be won't be sticking up higher than the Jeep too high. And also getting it off the rack won't be as bad either. So I think I'm going to leave it right there. It doesn't really block the hitch receiver at all. And I think I'm going to put my third brake light onto a hitch receiver light on the bottom for now. And if I'm pulling something, I'll just pop it off and I'll have the brakes on the trailer lights as well. So that's my plan. I'm going to button it all down here and then go from there. Hey everyone, I know this video was quite long. There was a lot done to the TJ on this one. The old bumper was taken off, the old hitch was taken off, I had bolts stuck, I had bolts that were hard to get in. A lot was going wrong on this project for me, which is typical for a Jones project. Anyways, thank you guys for hanging on for the whole video. The bumper is great. I drove it around for a day or two, and there is zero rattling on the TJ with the new bumper. It seems very, very solid. I'm very happy with the purchase, so it's a great upgrade for the TJ. I cannot wait to get the rack and the jerry cans to complete the whole look. If you have questions, comment down below. If you haven't been following the Jeep build, I'll link the playlist up top here for you guys to go back and watch what I've done to the TJ. And as always, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.